Pope Francis calls on countries to build economies without human trafficking.
Una economía senza tratta.
On the World Day of Prayer Against Human Trafficking, the Holy Father says every enslaved person must be set free. And without human trafficking, we can create a world that builds unity in a long-lasting way. Joining me now on Skype is William Saunders, law fellow and director of the program in human rights at the Institute for Human Ecology at the Catholic University of America. William, welcome back. Thank you so much for being with us today. In his video message asking for prayers for victims of human trafficking, Pope Francis said that, quote, in times of crisis, human trafficking proliferates. What are we seeing right now globally in terms of the number of people affected by human trafficking? And also, what type of impact has the coronavirus pandemic had on it?
Well, you know, we never know the exact numbers of people trafficked because it's usually illegal and secret. But one thing we know for sure during the pandemic is that more and more people are on the internet. And we know the internet can be a very dangerous place where young people or vulnerable people can be seduced or tricked into activities that become sexual or other kinds of exploitation.
And of course, we know today we're also celebrating the feast of Saint Josephine Bakhita. She's the patron saint of human trafficking survivors. I know that you attended her canonization in Rome back in 2000. Can you tell us a little bit more about her life, what she represents, and also what we can learn from her?
She's a fantastic saint. She was the first saint from Eastern and Northern Africa. As you say, I was there in the year 2000 in Rome. It was fantastic. I met Josephine Bakhita through my work against slavery in the Sudan. I was working with people who were being killed or enslaved, and they were often praying and seeking the intercession of Bakhita. And so that's how I came to know her. But she was a young girl who was kidnapped when she was about 8 years old, sold into human slavery, trafficked. Eventually, believe it or not, through the mercy and grace of God, she ended up in Italy. Learned about the Christian faith and said she met the God she had known in the bush, but she had not known his name, and she learned his name was Jesus Christ.
Amazing. Another thing I want to talk about a little bit is your program in human rights at CUA. I know you entrusted it to Saint Josephine Bakhita. How does it apply a Catholic focus to this important topic, that is, and why is this perspective so important?
Yes, Bakhita, as you said, is the patroness of my program, which is a Master of Arts in Human Rights. And the Master of Arts program looks at human rights from a Catholic perspective. And the Catholic perspective, I'm sure all your viewers know, it's a unique perspective. It's not a narrow perspective. So we look at law, philosophy, theology, political science. We look at the teaching of the popes and the teaching of the councils. And Bakhita is maybe the greatest teacher we have, because although she suffered as a victim of slavery, real chattel slavery, stuff that people may have thought didn't exist in the world anymore, still exists, along with sexual trafficking. Anyway, she forgave her traffickers because of the love she received from Christ. So she is a great inspiration to all of us to, first of all, identify the injustice, stop the injustice, but then seek the mercy of God to forgive them. And I think we should be praying hard this day of prayer against trafficking, that all the traffic victims are set free and that they all find the peace and joy of Christ.
Absolutely. We have probably about a minute left, maybe less than that, but I do want to ask you, what can we do as the faithful? What can we do to help combat human trafficking and help those impacted by it?
Well, I've got 4 suggestions. The first thing is, if you're interested in studying in the program of human rights from a Catholic perspective, come to my webpage, mahumanrights.com. That's Master of Arts, so mahumanrights.com, and come and study with us. Number 2, as I just said, pray that the victims are set free and they find the love of Christ. Pray that trafficking stops. Pray that trafficking is no longer, quote, needed by any countries to exploit workers. Keep your eyes open. If you see something that you think might be trafficking, there's a hotline in the Department of Labor here in the United States. Call that hotline and report it. And also support organizations financially that fight against human trafficking.
William, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all that with us. We really appreciate it. William Saunders, Director of the Program in Human Rights at the Institute for Human Ecology at the Catholic University of America. We appreciate your time.
You're welcome. And here's Bakhita for those who haven't seen her, a great saint.